up, y'all? It's me, Erica, and we are down here. Peace, y'all. Take care of each other. Protect your energy. All right, we're back for part 2. Come on, Toyota. We're back for part 2 of the video. We're almost to our destination. I probably shouldn't have started it until we got to the destination, but we're almost there. And oh my God, go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know that you stop by, girl. Come on, BMW. Yes. So we were talking about Denia Jackson, and I'm gonna go to the blogs and
I sponsor the blog.
Me tell you something.
read some of the comments, and I'm going to we're gonna just talk about it or whatever. So if you haven't liked the video yet, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, let me know you stopped by. Okay. So let's see. Let's go to the blogs. I think I saved it. Yeah, here's one.
Even though we were off, right? And so it was in this time where there was a lineup of.
Oh, hold on.
You think this is a game?
You were not passing each other on the stairway. No, yo.
We were passing each other on the stairway. Like, this is my shift from this time to this time. So,
See,
I was a willing participant.
That's where I get mixed up, because she said at one point he didn't know, and then when they went to premarital counseling and she started confronting him about all of his infidelities, maybe she means that, I don't know, like, I'm like, you kept it from him, but at one point you were passing women on the stairwell. So I don't know if that's just an embellishment or something, because I don't feel like it matches up with the rest of the story. Because if you go to she said they didn't even finish premarital counseling. If you go to premarital counseling, maybe when she confronted him, he didn't know that she knew about all of his infidelities. Maybe that is what she meant. Dude laughing, I was really turned off. Maybe he was, like I said, maybe he was nervous, but she was making some jokes. I'm trying to see where we can go where there's like shade, because like, oh my God. Oh, is there shade right there? I think there's shade right there. Let's see. I don't think there's anybody in that car. I want to be in this shade, but I don't want to be next to a car that somebody's in. So hopefully, we are in the shade, honey. Because anything in the light, anything in the light is going to be hot, and it's not going to be good for anybody. So that's where I was like kind of confused. I was confused. I was like, okay, so he did not know that you knew about his infidelities, but at one point during your relationship, you were passing women on the stairs. But then when you went to premarital counseling, he was shocked about you knowing about his infidelities. So I'm thinking maybe, because how could he be shocked about you knowing about his infidelities when you were passing women on the stairs? Because like, I feel like if you're passing women on the stairs, that's like the utmost. Like, there's no other way to be surprised about knowing that you're cheating when you're passing women on the stairs. So listen to what she says.
Engaging sexually, even though we were off, right? And so it was in this time where there was a lineup of us. We was passing each other on the stairway, in and out.
No, y'all wasn't. No, y'all was not passing
You think this is a game?
You were not passing each other on the stairway. No, y'all was.
We were passing each other on the stairway. Like, this is my shift from this time to this time. so, I was a willing participant in that, and it's like I can laugh about it now, but it's really sad, to like, what space do you have to be in to accept that? And so I dealt with it already, so I can laugh about it now, and it's funny.
That's what healing
but it's
looks like. Healing,
right?
You look back at your old self and
but
laugh.
I'm just like, what? But yeah, no, seriously. It was, I'm coming over at this time. I know such and such is going to be rolling through about, an hour and a half later. And sometimes we went a little bit longer. So literally passing each other on the stairs, like out the door. All right, have fun, your shift.
That's really, really sad. Let's read some of the comments. It says, nothing could get this information out of me. I said, I hope she's in therapy. Being in a relationship while you have a low self-worth is the worst place to be in. I'm wondering what's so funny. That's what I was trying to figure out. Listen, I respect her transparency. She got a story. It can help someone else. I wish her so much healing. And the I would nevers in comments, be careful how you judge. God has a sense of humor. Like, for real. And then her story, like it's like the outline of it. There are so many women dealing with it. The details might be different, but the structure of it, there are so many women waiting for their abuser to pick them, waiting for the person who causes them harm, waiting for the person who causes them frustration and strife, waiting for the person who causes them sadness, waiting for the person who makes them feel lower than they already are. They're waiting for him to pick them so that they can win from all the other women who are also being abused in the same way. See, girl, I told you they start coming. I'll stop, and the bees and the wasps and everything. And I'll be thinking, is it my car? I used to think it was my other car. I had a white car, and I used to think it was that. And I was like, maybe it's the white car. But girl, I remember one time a dragon. I ever tell y'all the story? A dragonfly flew in my car and then got stuck in the dashboard. When I tell you, I freaked the hell out. And luckily, I was at my son's daycare, and the owner of the daycare, he came out. He came out and got the dragonfly out of the car. I was hollering and screaming. The dragonfly came in and then went directly into the dashboard. And his little wings, little iridescent wings were just fluttering, and little body was trying to move. He got stuck, honey. I was like, oh my God, no, oh my God, it's a thing. And I had just pulled up to the daycare. I got out of the car so fast, baby. I'm glad I put the car in park. Girl, it was a mess. Anyway, it says, and most of y'all nourished off his BS before this. Laughing emoji. This is a man laughing at women laughing at women listening to Derek Jackson, because so many women, they put value in a man's word. They love to hear a man talking to other men about being a fuck boy, but he was like the supreme. He was the president, CEO, honey, CFOCOO, okay, treasurer, secretary, everybody. He held every position. And yes, women were nourished, because those very women are the women looking for a man to validate their feelings, validate how they feel about situations. And to hear someone say men are not right for doing this and men are not right for doing that, they see the value in that. That you have to be mindful and watch. There's another guy, what's his name? I think his name is Ace Metaphor. He has a history too. If you go back and listen to his rants and things before he got to the place he is now, where he's kind of warning women about the behaviors of men. Before that, he was talking some other shit. Okay, you got to go back and listen to him. I just don't want anything to fly in the car, but I don't want to be hotboxing it. Some of y'all going through this and don't even know it. No, some women are going through this and they know it. Their self-esteem and their self-worth is low, and they put their self-worth and identity in the words and actions of men, which it's sad to watch. It's sad to watch. It really is. Child, as my mother-in-law would say, if I was this common, I would be quiet as a church mouse. This is why STD and HIV is so high in the black community. He's trifling as F. He deserves everything that come his way. This is a man saying that. Here's another person. It takes courage to admit that you chose a clown as a husband. She trusted in him and believed that he loved her. There's no way that she could believe that he loved her based on his actions alone. It sounded like there wasn't a time in their relationship that he wasn't cheating on her. Off with his fucking head. Do you hear me? Off with it. Do you hear me? Many of us have been there. And will air anyone out that did them dirty. Kudos to her. How did he treat her? How he treated her needs to be exposed. The fact that he had her so broken down that she could physically walk past a side bitch on the steps and not kick her down the steps is wild. Okay, some shit you for real take to the grave. Right. Some people said take your L's, and how you showed up in relationships. Take them in silence. Some women, even women, are out here giving advice to other women, and their real story is something totally different. And I feel like there are a lot of women that have had this experience. And I'll say it again, it may not be as detailed as this, but there have been times where you dishonored yourself for the sake of being in relationship with someone else. It's true. Someone said, it's wild hearing this from her after seeing him make a career off of being a relationship therapist. Instead of all that lying and pandering to women, he should have been telling fellas how to get their game up to this level. And you see, I think that's why that man was laughing at the fact that you had women in agreement to quote unquote, pass each other on the stairs and still had access to women, and they were still allowing you access. How can I get there? There are some women, some men who look at that behavior as admirable. Just like this guy said, instead of all that lying and pandering that he was doing to women, he should have been teaching fellas how to get their game up to this level, how to mistreat women. He should have been getting his game up. He should have been getting his money by showing other men how to mistreat women. Can you believe that? Yeah, I can. She wasn't married to him at the time. They were on again, off again in a relationship setting. And even when they were together, he was still mistreating her. Shout out to Chronicle Speaks. Y'all share way too much information on this social media platform. I honestly don't think that there's anything wrong with sharing your story, especially if it just helps one person, then you've done the work. I feel like her actually saying the things that she's saying out loud, another woman might see themselves in her and make a decision to exit out of a relationship where they're being mistreated and dishonoring themselves. Y'all saying take to the grave, and she's saying transparency and truth telling. Once you overcome something, it's not as hard to speak on. Good for her. It is very hard, especially if you view yourself in a certain way, and then you realize that you're in a relationship where you're dishonoring yourself, and it's hard. The shame, the guilt that you have keeps you silent, and that also helps the person that mistreated you. It protects them. When you decide, you know what, I'm gonna get past I'm gonna forgive myself, right? I'm gonna get past the guilt, I'm gonna get past the shame, and I'm going to speak up about how I was mistreated in this relationship. Yes, I participated in the relationship longer than I should have, and I feel guilty and shameful about it. But you know what? I'm going to speak to how this person treated me. And those words, when you decide to speak up, it's going to help somebody, and it's going to help yourself. It's going to feel like a weight has been lifted off of your shoulder. You no longer, people who mistreat other people, they count on you feeling ashamed about how you were mistreated and feeling guilty and beating yourself up for being mistreated, right? And they count on that because that protects them. They count on you being quiet. That protects them. As soon as you get over the hurt, the shame, the guilt, and you start running your fucking mouth, that's going to heal you, and it's going to heal somebody else. Once you overcome something, it's not as hard to speak on. Write a book, sis. You couldn't waterboard this information out of me. So there are some people who are willing to like stay quiet because there's shame and guilt in that. Like, how could you be in a relationship like that? And the truth is, there are a lot of women in relationships like this. Let's see. I think there's another clip of her. I'm so glad Hollywood Unlocked has a new template for their post. It looks more organized. Shout out to them for doing that. It looks way more organized. Okay, so let's see. Neighborhood Talk. Let's see the other clip they played of her.
What affected me in that little segment of his post was referencing that, even down to our daughter. Like, I had some issues, like just like with the complexion of our daughter, because that was the type of woman that he would go after. And I'm not dark, like super dark skinned woman. And our daughter's like a little chocolate little princess. She has it, and I'm just like, how does she look like the women that he wants?
Wow, that's deep.
How does she look like the women that he wants and he desires and he loves? Like, like, I don't understand. It's like they had her even though I carried her.
Woo!
You know what I'm saying? And so
Hold
I had
on.
to work out.
You gotta let that sit. You can't, Lord Jesus. You said they had her even though you had her?
They had her even though I carried her. That's what I felt like for a long time. I had to really sit down and
because her skin tone represents the type of women that he would cheat on you with.
Yes. Yes. And so then it just played on the rejection and the abandonment and the not like, choose me. What is there about me? Right? Our daughter even has everything that you like search for, or at least.
It's really, really sad. Yeah, she said she dealt with SA. She said she was 19 years old and was ARD and never got the counseling, never went to therapy about it. And then a few months later jumped into a relationship with someone who would ultimately abuse her in a different way. And she said that the rejection and the abandonment came from, her parental figures and caregivers. I'm telling you, that childhood is the key. That's the era and the phase where a lot of us need and needed healing from. She says rejection and abandonment. I had to deal with that abandonment issues, and I think the abandonment issues, if they're unhealed, you will definitely stay in a relationship longer. Even, let me tell you something, even when you tell the mother to leave, in your mind you don't want them to leave because they're abandoned. You feel abandoned and you feel rejected, and even though you want them to leave, you will be like, don't leave, or telling them to come back. It's like, girl, it's crazy. It's crazy. I've had that experience too, because I dealt with abandonment issues as well. Abandonment issues. And that literally will, if you don't have that part of yourself healed, you will stay in a situation longer than you should. It's true. It's very true. Let's read some of the comments on this one. I feel so bad for her. Somebody said, y'all saying, believe it or not, that's a lot of mothers with their daughters. Don't let them have a son too. She gonna love that little boy down and throw up her hands with the daughter. I hate she went through this. She's a little touched. Yeah, it's a psychological abuse. And I feel like the part of the psychological abuse comes with the socialization that you believe that you need somebody to pick you in order to feel worthy. That has to be studied anyway. You feel like you need to be picked in order for you to feel worthy, and then also endure abuse. And as you endure abuse, you wait and wait and wait for your abuser to pick you and to walk down the aisle so you can have this fantasy wedding and walk down the aisle to your abuser as if you've won a prize. Girl, no. Absolutely not. No. The fact that I reposted his videos early on in his career pisses me off. Wolf in sheep's clothing for real. And I feel like part of the socialization of boys to men is they get off on being able to be deceptive to women, and in their deception they have access to women, and I feel like they get off on that. Like they've been able to access women and have been able to have women be like, oh my God, he's so smart, oh my God, I'm reposting this stuff, and he's deceiving you the whole time. He's getting off on that. I feel like boys to men are socialized to access women in the ways of transactions and in the ways of deception. I truly believe, I've seen it too many times. The transaction for real, because you can be in a club and a nigga buy you a goddamn margarita and he thinks he should go home with you and have access to your body. The transactional relationships and approaches are real, but the way that they get off on getting over deceiving you in a way to access you, that's something else that should be studied. Y'all stop pretending like it never got this deep for y'all at one point. That's what I'm saying. Nobody should be acting, because I feel like it's more people who have gone through abuse that looks like this than not. I truly believe that. Says, Mama, I'm sorry to say, but she had some real issues and insecurities before she met him or something. And maybe that's why he preyed on her. Yeah, she was abandoned, rejected, sexually assaulted, and then jumped into a relationship with another abusive person. And then again, the part of I don't want to say that you accepted the abuse, maybe being complacent to the abuse, or I don't want to say that you allow abuse, but it is in a way you're allowing it because you're there. But again, I think that comes with the socialization. Like you've been programmed like this. And I think for some people, they have to go through it in order to realize, okay, I don't want to do that again. But there's some women who just jump from one man to the next man to the next man, trying to be picked. Jumping into these weird ass relationships, the way that they look, the way that they're structured, hoping to get picked. For me, it's you wanting to be picked by the person who causes you pain. That is a level of delusion that I just don't, it's sad. I'm dark skinned and she looks to be around my color. Did she feel like she was light skinned in comparison? No, she said dark. This man mentally abused her for years. She had to probably relearn who she is as a person. He literally traumatized her. She's in therapy. She said it in the podcast. She's been in therapy and she's working on herself, which is how she's able to even express this. This is so sad. She gets most improved because she seems to be getting help. She needs to heal and move forward. She needs a book deal. Honey, let me tell you how many women, people tell me I should write a book based on the experiences that I've had. Girl, there's so many women with the same goddamn story, be the same book on the shelf, just different players in the goddamn story. That's what I'm saying. It should be nobody in these comments. And let me read you the statement that I said about Denia. I think this comes, listen, so you went from crying in closets, because she said that there would be times where she would find an image of him or a video of him having sex with another woman, and she would be in the closet crying, and she would stay there until he found her, hoping that he would comfort her and console her. And then when he would ask her what was wrong, she would lie and say, oh, I'm grieving my father. She wouldn't say, oh, I just saw a video of you sticking your raw in somebody's, you know what I'm saying? She wouldn't tell him why she was really crying. and she would sit on the counter and wait for him to finally, I guess, come out of his car from making a video lying to thousands of people, and then come in and find her, and then she would lie to him and tell him she was crying about something else. So you went from crying in closets to passing women on stairs, and you still decided to marry him. I think this comes from the socialization that as long as he picks me, I'll take him, instead of knowing your worth and knowing that you don't deserve to be treated like that. I hope that there aren't a lot of women making fun of her, because a lot of women have the same experience. It may not be to this extent, but we have a lot of us have been in relationships where we do not value ourselves, where our self-esteem is so low, and so you are no good in the relationship. We've definitely been there when we've decided to participate in a relationship where our self-esteem and self-worth was low. Like, I really feel like that's a part, like, teaching girls to women and boys to men on having, if your self-esteem is low, if you don't feel good about yourself, you should not be trying to participate in any type of romantic, intimate relationship. You need to get yourself together first, because it is a recipe for disaster, period. I feel like we need to teach, especially girls that are seeking, for some reason, they need to be in relationships. They want to be in relationships. They want to try it out. There's that damn Honda again. They want to try it out. They want to do, but you have to teach girls that him deciding to be with you is of no bearing on how you should feel about yourself. Like the self-esteem, we need to teach girls, to women, young women, that your self-esteem needs to be intact, and your worthiness should not be dependent on somebody picking to be in a relationship with you, or choosing to be in a relationship with you, or choosing to end a relationship with you. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, nobody should be making fun of her, because there have been plenty of people who have been in relationships where they didn't honor themselves, and they continue to be in the relationship for however long it took them to realize, I don't deserve this shit. There's more who have experienced it than not. So this guy says, some shit you take to the grave. It's a lot of emotionally immature women in this comment section talking about this is creepy. Nothing about what this woman said was creepy. She's speaking her truth. Let her. She is healing. Let her. A lot of y'all are listening to respond and judge, but do everything but understand. She never once said she mistreated her daughter. What she said was how she saw her daughter in comparison to the women he cheated with. She didn't even see herself in her kid. She felt so much self-hatred that she couldn't even see herself in her own child. She saw a dark-skinned beauty, and that's all her husband cheated on her with. She was jealous of her skin tone. Why is it she's chocolate? Why doesn't he like me? She wished she could be darker. Maybe he won't cheat. She never said she was jealous of her kid. I've never been this far gone, but to say it's creepy is wild to me. You know what? I'm jealous of my kid's thickness in her hair. I wish my hair was thick and full as my daughter's. I'm creepy too? Y'all weird. Go watch the whole interview. These bits and pieces y'all letting sway y'all thought process is crazy to me. Oh, she has a long comment. I can't read the whole comment. Let's see if there's any other from the neighborhood talk about Dania Jackson. Yeah, that's real. She said she couldn't even look at her daughter, honey. She would pass the girls on the stairwell. There's a lot of things she said, but anyways, y'all, I'm going to go. Hopefully, you can go watch it. It's on YouTube. There's 2 parts. I'm going to watch the other part was almost 2 hours. So I was like, I'm not going to watch it before this video, because I did not have 2 hours to waste, even though I do watch it sped up. But yeah, I think it's all about teaching, especially girls, because we live in a society where, everywhere you look, you are going to be programmed with this idea that, one, you need to be in relationship. Two, you need a man to pick you. You got to wait around for the man to pick you. You know how many women are waiting for some man to say, will you marry me? Just waiting and waiting. Do you know how many women today are waiting for some nigga to define their relation? What are we? What are we? Waiting for some man to define their relationship. Waiting and waiting. What are we? What are we? Can you pick me? Can you finally pick me? I've done all these things. Can you finally choose me? And the entire time he's not treating you the way you deserve to be treated. I really think that if you have little girls around you and boys around you, non-binary kids around you, teach them about having self-esteem. Teach them that being in a relationship does not define them. Not being in a relationship doesn't define you. You do not have to be in a relationship for you to be worthy of anything. Like, that is something that we really have to teach these children, because they start, entering into quote unquote relationships as young as junior high school, which I think is really weird, because they have no idea who they are, and they're trying to relate to another person who has no idea who they are, trying to come together and be in love and trying to practice this relationship thing starting in high school, which is, I guess, quote unquote normal in high school, to start trying to figure out how to relate to another human being in a romantic way. I actually think it's really crazy when you think about it. And then you go into these relationships, you don't have the self-esteem is not intact for either person. That's where you get little boys being jealous and crazy and acting weird and being possessive and shit like that. It's real, and it's a lot. Like I said, we can't teach them all, but the ones who are in your proximity, please teach them that being in a relationship does not define them. You need to know yourself before you try to be in love with somebody else. Like, that's the one thing that when I look at my sons, I think about them when they start dating. It's like, you need to know who you are before you try to get to know and cater to and be there in a way for another person. You need to know who you are and what you want and how you want to show up in a relationship. Practicing relation, like I said, it starts as young as junior high school. When I hear people, that's what bothers me, when I hear people ask kids in junior high school and early high school, do you have a boyfriend? What? They don't even know themselves. They haven't even learned how to manage their menstrual cycles yet, and you want them to try to figure out what a boy is thinking? Girl, go somewhere with that bullshit. Honestly, they should be trying to figure out who they are. They should be trying to build up their self-esteem. And we need to be teaching these little girls that your identity is not in a man or a boy. It's not. You need to have your own identity. You don't need to be worried about somebody picking you or choosing you. You should not be fighting over a boy with another girl. None of that. None of it. None of it. You should not lose your identity. You should not take on his interest. That if you don't have no interest in baseball and football, don't sit next to no boy with a goddamn jersey on so that he can decide, oh, I like her because we have the same interest. Hell no. No. And you don't even like it. How many of y'all have put on a goddamn jersey of a team you don't even know nothing about? And you sitting up there cheering on some damn football team and don't know nothing about football, but you've taken on this guy's interest. You started talking like him, using his lingo, hanging out with him, abandoning your friends. None of that. We need to be teaching. If you see a girl that is in your community that you have access to, and she has started to demonstrate behaviors that are harmful to herself, you need to pull her aside and say, hey, ma'am, you don't need to lose your identity in this boy. You don't need to be cutting your friends off so that you can spend more time with this boy. You need to have your own identity. You need to learn who you are first. And it's not just we need to teach little girls, but there's some grown-ass women that need to learn that too. You don't need to lose your identity in this boy. Period. Have your own goddamn identity. Don't fight over no boy. Don't fight another woman over no boy. Another girl, man or woman, whoever. You know what I'm trying to say? And that's real. Because what this girl has gone through, thousands of women have gone through. It's almost like a goddamn rite of passage. It really is. And then for her to stay, that's the part, is when you stay, because you have your self-esteem and self-worth is so low that you feel like you are deserving of this. And you're waiting around for him to pick you. He chose me. The pitfalls of a pick-me, honey, will have you having on the damn internet with a beret on, having a mental breakdown. And it's real. It is real. Anyways, y'all, take care of each other. Protect your energy. Choose yourself, okay? Let's get down in the comments. Peace.